were sitting there in an apartment above a radio station. There was a long table there, and there was ashtrays overflowing with cigarette butts. There were machine gun clips. There was his AR-15 right behind him. He had a 45 in his belt. At some point, he pulled out a little bag of cocaine and then a box of baking soda. He mixed the two up and then cooked it over a flame. And it melted, it bubbled up and then fused together. And for the rest of the night, he was either scraping that stuff into a powder, making packs of cigarettes to smoke that he kept in his pocket, or smoking the stuff. Everybody I talked to about him attributes his decline and fall to cocaine. And then Amado came over. He walked into the room. He was dressed in Western, I recall. You know, a little bit pudgy, friendly, a little overly friendly, in fact. There was one thing I remember, though, that really stands out, and that was a sort of a glint in his eyes. And I think he knew the fact that Pablo was talking to an American reporter spelled his doom. I think Amado knew that. He was aiming to take over. And taking over meant getting rid of Pablo.
We will never know if Carrillo ever challenged Acosta's authority directly, but in 1986, the two men exchanged heated words at a restaurant in Ojinaga.
Pablo and Amado's operation included a ranch not too far out of town, maybe 20 miles, where there was an underground storage tank. It's like, you know, an old gasoline tank, you know, next to a runway. Turboprops of cocaine, 1,800-pound loads, and then offload it and bury it in a tank. And only the traffickers knew about this tank. Somehow or other, the DEA found out about this tank. Somehow or other, Amado found out that the DEA knew about it. Now, independently of Pablo, Amado had 6 people rounded up who had knowledge of that underground tank. And he had each one of them tortured to death. Find out if there was a leak or if they knew anything about a leak.
No sé nada.
And none of them did, but they were all dead.
Acosta confronted Carrillo, asking him what he had accomplished by killing 6 innocent men. Carrillo replied, coolly,
Eliminas a todos, eliminas tu problema.
it is better for 6 innocent men to die than for one guilty man to go unpunished.
I think Amado learned some lessons from Pablo. He didn't learn the crack cocaine lesson very well because he appeared to do that for the rest of his career. But he did learn that the high profile had some real strong drawbacks.
During his interview with Terrence Papa, Pablo had revealed part of the protection scheme unique to Mexico's organized crime groups. That in order to control the plaza, he had to make regular payments to both the Army and the Mexican Federal Police. As soon as the interview was published, the order came from Mexico City to arrest Pablo Acosta.
For the next 5 months, they chased him all over Mexico. He ended up hiding out in a river village on the Rio Grande. And he was trapped in an adobe hut for about an hour. They had a hellacious gun battle, and he was killed. He refused to give up.
When Acosta went on the lam, Carrillo disappeared. Some believe he was involved in Acosta's death.
I can't speak for the DEA. I can speak for the intelligence that was known, and the intelligence was that Amado Carrillo Fuentes paid the Mexican Federal Police $1 million to have Pablo Acosta killed.
Never have a high profile. Don't talk to reporters. Don't let anyone know your name. Kill people that publicize your name. Because that's what killed Acosta. He became too well known, thereby becoming an embarrassment to the Mexican government that employed him, which they did. The police and the government in Mexico get a cut of everything, including crime. So if you want to be a criminal, the head criminal, you have to establish that you're in charge of the plaza, that you represent the criminal element. Then you can go to the comandante and cut a deal. And the comandante will tell you, you can do anything you want, but if it gets to be trouble, I'm going to kill you, arrest you, jail you. But if that doesn't happen, you just give me my bike, and you can do business. That was the way the plaza system functioned.
Over time, it was natural for individual plazas to band together into larger alliances. Carrillo's original mentor, Miguel Ángel Félix Gallardo, expanded his operations north of the border, forming the Tijuana cartel. Juan Garcia Abrego consolidated coastal smuggling with prohibition routes across the mountains to create the Gulf Cartel. The Juarez cartel was under the control of Rafael Aguilar Gallardo, a former commander of the DFS, Carrillo's alma mater. It is from Juarez that Carrillo resumed his air shipments from Colombia, mere days after Pablo Acosta's funeral. Aguilar's former role as a federal secret policeman gave him unique access to the workings of traffickers throughout the region, information he most likely turned to his advantage in growing his cartel's influence. It is believed that Aguilar had an existing cocaine deal with Colombia's Cali cartel before Carrillo came to Juarez. Carrillo's connection to the Median traffickers was a welcome addition to the business. Then in August of 1989, Carrillo was arrested in Guadalajara, charged with trafficking for the Colombians. The military confiscated 6 of his aircraft, 4 of them jets. He was released a few months later.
He was arrested, though. A photograph was taken of him that was distinctly different from the photograph taken of him in Ojinaga when he applied for a border crossing card. The only way that I could think of for a person to radically alter his appearance.
Terrified the American drug community because it blew the whistle on how big the volume of the traffic was. And secondly, because they took it down and it never affected the price of coke on the street.
By the spring of 1990, Carrillo was out of prison and the Juarez cartel was experiencing a period of relative calm. In contrast, western Mexico was becoming a war zone. Shortly after the arrest of Miguel Ángel Félix Gallardo, the Tijuana cartel split. Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán and Hector Luis Palma formed the rival Sinaloa cartel. Miguel Angel's nephews, the Arellano brothers, arranged the revenge murder of Palma's wife and children. The Sinaloa cartel retaliated by sending 40 armed gunmen to attack a discotheque where one of the Arellanos was partying. The bloodbath culminated in the 1993 assassination of Cardinal Juan Jesus Posadas Ocampo, killed in a firefight at the Guadalajara airport.
What that killing did, it outraged Mexican society, and it showed just how brazen traffickers had become. It showed the horrible possibilities of Mexico becoming another.
Ferry Colombian coke, but would move it for half the load. Because then when they took half the load, they started displacing Colombians in the United States in the distribution system. And that's when the roar of money hit Mexico. And that happened between 85 and 90, depending whose account and where. But the real architect was Amado Carrillo. The kid had a head for business, even if he had a cold heart. The day he was murdered, his bodyguard driver didn't show up for work. A week later, that same bodyguard driver was in Juarez working for Amado Carrillo. Therefore, it looks like Amado was behind killing Aguilar, and that's when Amado Carrillo took over the plaza. What you have to understand is Juarez is not just another city. If you sit down and you open up a map of the United States, Juarez connects with major transportation arteries, railroad and interstate highways, and the soft underbelly of the Republic. It is the best location on land for a launching pad for drugs into North America. And it's the most valuable thing to own. And Carrillo then owned it.
Carrillo streamlined the operation almost immediately, bringing the loose-knit cartel into the modern corporate era. He used cargo planes and passenger jets to transport 10 to 15 tons of cocaine at a time. His pilots filed flight plans that blended the contraband into legitimate commercial air traffic. If the flights were detected at all, Mexico's anti-drug aircraft would be left breathing jet fumes. It wasn't long before Carrillo was given his most famous alias, Lord of the Skies. Carrillo's growing legend made it impossible for him to remain hidden. In November of 1993, he survived the only serious attempt ever known to have been made on his life.
Amado Carrillo and his wife and children were eating in the evening at a fish joint. Nice one. Suddenly a bunch of guys stormed in, started shooting. Carrillo escaped. It's believed by DEA that the reason Carrillo survived was he'd been careful enough that even his assassins didn't know what he looked like and shot the wrong man.
It is still unknown who ordered the hit. Some experts say it was Gulf Cartel leader Juan Garcia Abrego trying to eliminate his main competition. Others point to the Arellano brothers of Tijuana, who were upset because Carrillo had fronted money to their bitter rival, Joaquin El Chapo Guzmán.
They have a saying in Spanish, plata o plomo. That means silver or lead. You take the money or you get a bullet. And